A visitor. Word travels fast, it seems. As fast as time flies. Which makes sense, given that they're both a type of bird. No doubt, you came for the Argonian known as Two Tails. I am he. As you should be. It's not every day you get to meet the first hero of the Fourth Era and champion of Tamriel. With the Divine's blessing, I've been granted a great gift. A weapon to conquer an ancient evil that has awoken from centuries of slumber. That's why the bards sing my name, from mead halls to ship decks, in castles and colleges, and sometimes in your head. Our hero, claims a warrior's heart. I tell you, the Dwarvenborn comes. Dragons. Unthinkable. The dragons have been extinct for centuries. What is dead can never be revived. No, the ancient evil I speak of as dwarves returned from the land that time forgot to enslave mortals to work in their underground mines. Or more specifically, a dwarf, Mazanuk, the Guard Eater. He returns with his army of mechanical spiders and centurions to end the day itself. Your worst enemy and your best friend, as you are nothing but a dog to him. And like a good doggy, he's going to make you fetch dirt, then bring it to the surface while his army of centurions flog you with brass whips. Mazanuk aims to devour the gods, at least the ones that live underground, and in doing so, propel our world into chaos. But as it is written in the Histbark and inscribed in the assortment of spoons I keep in my pocket, all is not lost. For there is one that even the mad dwarf and his legion of machines fear. In their tongue, I am known as Thuamerdzin, Dwarvenborn. As Dwarvenborn, I possess what is known as the Machine Hand. Simply by placing my palms on a device, I can disable it permanently. I am now on a great quest to place my hands upon as many dwarven machinations as possible, so that I may render the God Eater's army inert. It doesn't matter if it's a broken spider or fully operational centurion. One touch from my machine hand, and no smith can repair it. unfathomable. I am a hero, the champion of Mundus. You dare insult me by suggesting I raid dwarven ruins like a common bandit? I'll raid them like an uncommon bandit. You know, the kind that says please and thank you, and hates the predicament an unfair society has placed him in. Everything in this tower, for one. Notice how still the chair and pieces of scrap metal are. The Dweema Museum in Markath has also received my blessing. Not a single device in there is operational. Other than that, I tried entering a ruin northwest of here, but I accidentally disabled the door, permanently locking it. I solved this quandary by hiring mercs to open doors for me. Then we went northeast, to Mazenkalift. Yet it seems most of the machines were already destroyed by some horker of a woman. Only a single centurion was left intact at the tail end of the cavernous ruin. Before it could rise, I ambushed it with my sacred palm. I laid it right on its thigh, but its dynamo core seemed to be protected by some sort of magical force field. Mazanok's work, no doubt. We had to disable the field first, immobilize it manually. I left the mercs to deal with such menial work. Once the mercs finished paralyzing it, I blessed it with my machine hand. Not all of them. Unfortunately, my machine hand doesn't work on bandits. Unless they have dwarven metal in their teeth. It's the only place that's completely safe. Mazanok has his spiders everywhere, hiding in the dirt like eight-legged mud crabs. They're out there right now, burrowed in the mud, not 40 paces from where we stand, using the grass and the weeds like an insect's antenna. Only these antennae aren't like the kind you find on a bug. No, attached at the end are magical listening spheres, painted white to look like flowers. Cut in balls, fungal pods, tulips. His eyes and ears are everywhere, searching for the one they call Dwarvenborn. Conversely, there isn't a section of wall or piece of dwarven metal that I haven't blessed with my machine hand. It's completely quarantined. I was fishing near the coast of Nibben Bay in Cyrodiil when I saw a bearded mage standing by the bank. In his hand was the ugliest fishing staff I had ever seen, but when he raised it to the sky, a massive island rose right out of the water. On it were rocks, chiseled into the shape of dwarven heads, only they weren't rocks, but cheese. Then, waving the staff around some more, he conjured 3 beggars to eat away at the cheese rocks, from its mustache down to its chin. Their efforts revealed a secret portal, a gateway to the Dwemer homeworld. Curious, I followed him into the bay. I swam, he walked. I trailed him to the edge of the shoreline, just as he was about to enter the portal. Then he stopped and turned in my direction. I was hiding behind some brush, but I could have sworn he winked at me. Turns out there was just something in his eye, specifically the arrow that I shot in his face for winking at me. Didn't have a choice. He fired first. He just made an island come out of the bay. Now he was winking at me. For all I knew, he was going to waggle his fingers and cross his eyes and pull my heart out of my throat. I'm Dwarven born, aren't I? Indisputably so. I tried to dispute it once, although I was just pretending to be humble. Females seem to like that. Only both the purple and gold dwarves I met in the Isles, they preferred me arrogant. They wanted me to claim my title as Dwarvenborn. So, I did. I couldn't refuse a lady. Well, I could, but only if she wanted me to pay for dinner. You eat it or you buy it. Not purple and gold. Purple and gold. Two separate factions. The gold dwarves are the rich ones, on account of all the gold they wear. The purple ones are the smart ones. They paint their gold purple, so no one will steal it. Both of them don't take kindly to men, except the purple ones are less unkind. Only thing they hate more is each other. They remind me of the Imperials and the Stormcloaks, hacking away at each other while the real threat grows strong. People blame Ulfric, call him power-hungry and arrogant. Looks to me like we got two Ulfrics in Skyrim. Only one of them calls himself Elisif. Same with the dwarves. One of their own, the God Eater himself, was on the loose, and they were just too busy griping to care. Luckily, a chamberlain by the name of Haskell led me down a yellow road where I was granted an audience with a steam mammoth. The mammoth told of how it betrayed Mazanuk, and how his former master sought the nature of the divines, so that he could know how to eat them. Not with a fork, apparently, as that was my first guess. Turns out the gods are soup-based life form. Nonsense! They're dwarves. You can tell by their horns and feathers, which they shed as babies, just like tails. I had feathers once too, The tips were as blue as Nibbin Bay in the summer. That is, until the locals started calling me a featherbrain. Others said that it was an insult to feathers. The joke's on them. I plucked my feathers, cut them open, and they had no brains to speak of. It did, but not before having me undergo 3 tests in 3 nights to see if my machine hand was true. The first test was simple. Touch the traces of a dwarven sphere and return it to its shell. That's when I first learned the nature of my power. Through my palm, I could channel into the matrix of gears and wires and shatter the soul crackers that powered them. The second test came with a twist. I was asked to repair an orrery so I could learn to touch devices without damaging the mechanism. I managed to suppress my power as I connected the cylinders, cogs, and cohers to their respective wheelers, which were powered by rodents. The third and final test was to don the armor of the Animunculi. For legend stated, only a true hero could claim it. The armor was encased in columns of gold and purple light. 2 dwarves stood guard before it, but opened the path to reveal my prize. When I put it on, a chant began to swell, one that would echo across the aisles. For I was dwarven born. Yes, it's as useless as a wet tunic against steel or iron, but it's impervious to attacks from machines. It's also immune to the call of Mazanuk's voice, as well as his machine magic, despite being comprised of dwarven metal. Truly an armor designed for a purpose and fit for a champion. They say he was a gifted dwarf, blessed with the ability to craft, repair, and if need be, marry machines, simply by touching them. Some even say he learned the way of the voice, that he could direct his spiders to sweep the floors by issuing a simple 3-word command. Something like broom floor sweep, or beep boop bop, or insert tube here. You know, common phrases of the machine tongue. Then, one day, while renovating an old cave, he came across a magic scroll written inside a tube of fungus. Inside was a 100,000-year-old prophecy, one that foretold what already happened 75,000 years ago, at the dawn of time. It told of the age of the soup people, who flowed through the underground rivers of Nern like hard, creamy magma. and were extremely delicious. It warned of a day in the distant past when the soup would turn cold. So cold, it congealed. These jelly blobs and their scraps would be what they've become. The early beginnings of man and beast. You must be one of those happily married folk. They always like to complain about how happy they are. Only what the gods foretold. They say Mazanok will come from the west, charging down a mountain, led by an avalanche of metal boulders, spheres. Behind them will be the mad dwarf himself, riding in a steam-powered war carriage, pulled along by dwarven mammoths. They say when Mazanok makes his charge, the ore veins across Skyrim will melt, and the rivers will run bright with metal. Only the Dwarvenborn possesses the power to stop him. From here in the Eyrie, I can watch for his descent, as well as create a strategic barrier to protect myself from his spies. In his on it. Then, their efforts revealed. Curious, then he stopped. Turns out there was just something in his eye. Specifically the arrow that I shot in his face for winking at me. It was my fishing bow. How else are you supposed to catch slaughterfish without a proper bow? Or staff for that matter? Now I had both. In fact, I could have used the staff to catch twice as many fish if I were a fisherman and not the one true savior of Skyrim. But first, I needed to step through that portal, which I had no problem doing. I didn't kill a man and 3 beggars to catch more salmon. Until next time. How can I help you?
Halt, Outlander! By the code of Malakath, this stronghold belongs to the Orcs. Your kind are unwelcome. This is our stronghold. Here, we are free to live as Malakath intended, away from the prying eyes of the Nords. You're not an orc or bloodkin, so stay out. We only help our own. He is the Daedric Lord of the Orcs, the keeper of the sworn oath and the bloody curse. We live by his code and follow his teachings. An outlander like you wouldn't understand. There are few great strongholds worthy to talk about. Dushnik Jarl, Morkazgur, Narzilbur, and Lagerspur. We've heard whispers of an enchanted pair of gauntlets, hidden and protected by dangerous men, beasts, or worse. They are called the Forge Master's Fingers. Bring them to our chief, and he will decide if you are worthy to be bloodkin to the Orcs. We will see.